Hi guys, welcome to the channel. I'm the Rusty Casual and today I'll be talking about 3D printing. I'll be talking about the basics, like what machine I use, how I use it, what I make, and is this feasible for you? Should you be getting into 3D printing? Should you be buying a machine, or should you just be asking a friend to print it, or maybe outsourcing it to someone else? That's the question for today. So what we have over here is we have something called an Ender 3. It's not the Pro, it's not the new version, it's just a basic Ender 3. The reason why this was revolutionary was it was one of the first budget machines with a heated bed, and that allowed people to pay very little for a machine that could do a lot more than before. You would have a lot of adhesion problems to the bed surface because it wasn't heated, and that changed the game once you had a heated bed. In this case, I'm using a few upgrades to this machine because things have broken, things have had problems. I've also wanted to change a few things and make this a bit more capable. In this case, I've changed to a glass print surface because what happens is you get a flexible print surface with this machine, and it tends to break down with time. So I had to change to glass. Another change that I made was this extruder over here. It used to be plastic when the machine came, but with about 2-3 uses of the reel, it tends to get broken down, it breaks, it cracks. So I had to replace it with a milled aluminium piece, and that is something I got online. There was no problem with that. This whole machine is actually around, I would say, 14 to 16K. You could probably get it around 10 to 12 used, I'm guessing, even maybe a little less if you're lucky. But yeah, it's a real budget machine, so you could do a lot with it. The question is, are you getting your money's worth? Are you able to maybe get your investment back? And do you want to get your investment back is the question. Are you just buying it for fun? If you're buying it to make money, well, you have to calculate the costs and figure out what are you going to make out of it. And are you that driven? Because I bought this machine, I used it for about 1 to 2 weeks, and I was glued to it, and then I completely forgot it for 6 to 7 months. And then I thought about car parts and I said, okay, I'll start using it again. And that's where things changed. But at the beginning, I hardly used the machine. And once I finished off with the basic stuff, I completely forgot it, like stuff like this, which I'll show you later. Another upgrade I'd like to do is move the extruder over here. That's where you can start to print flexible materials, because the gap between the motor and the heated hot end reduces. So a flexible piece of material would not flex anymore. It would flex much less is what I'm trying to say. So I'd like to make a plate which fits over here and allows this motor to sit right here. So that's something I'd like to show you guys. Let's see how it works out. If it does, if it doesn't, because the other possibility is this whole thing just moving around and shaking. Oh yeah, you need to tighten this. So this is what happens with a budget machine. You need to play around with it. It might twist a bit, it might have some problems over here. This isn't supposed to be the case. This machine has been off for a while. I need to tune it, I need to tighten stuff up. This shouldn't be moving this much, it should be much tighter. So there are a lot of stuff like this that you have to look after. And that's the question. First of all, are you ready for this headache? Will you be able to assemble this machine? It's very basic, very easy to put together, but is this for you? Can you put this together? Can you find a use, and will you be bored in a month? That is the question. So I'll show you guys what I plan to do as well with this. You've got these extrusions, right? These are called extrusions, whatever this machine is put together with. These are aluminium, and I've also purchased these, which are much longer. So what I could do, once I get all the wiring in place, I need to extend the wires for this upgrade that I'm planning. I'm planning to make this machine supersized, double the width, double the length, double the height. That is the plan. There are a few parts that are left that I couldn't source, like an adhesive for the heated bed to another aluminium plate where this glass bed will sit. So that is something I was unable to find. I need a heat resistant adhesive. That's maybe about 200 to 300 degrees centigrade is the requirement. Apart from that, I also need to extend all the wiring, and I would need this threaded rod, because this is a threaded rod for the 3D printing purpose, and it moves much faster. With each rotation of the motor, it's moving double what a normal metric thread would move at. So that is the whole problem here. So what I'd like to do is take these extrusions that you can see and replace all these over here, cut these in half or whatever, and I'll show you guys how I do the process, because you get kits, they're a little pricey and they're only available in the US. So if you make this stuff, you'd probably be spending 1/3 of the price. I think this must have cost me about 8K or something like that, and the hardware, everything, it should work out to 10K, and you could really make something cool and something much larger and make a machine which would have cost you about, I don't know, triple, 4 times the price of an Ender 3. So I'd like to also show you guys what is available easily on websites. Over here we have a lampshade. This is something I use over here in this room. Light does come through this, it's not too bad, but it's something interesting. It looks really nice. I'm sure you guys would find it it's nice to look at. So this is what happens in the first 2 weeks of owning the machine. You make stuff like this. Over here I have a T-Rex. This is something that T-Rex skull. It's not a real one obviously, but this glows in the dark. This material is a glow in the dark material. That's the cool thing about this. It was printed in this orientation. So there's a lot of stuff about printing in orientations and other stuff like that. And you have supports that had to be put in place over here, because you can't just print in the air, that's obvious. And you'll have problems over here. So there's a lot about this stuff that I will explain in the future, how I get away with some of these problems, how I manage. I will be explaining about that. So now I'll get to the cool stuff, the other stuff that other people don't really do. For example, over here we have a body puck. This was something I designed. I'll be showing you guys how I make this from 3D models to a body puck. This would have been in a 1:1 scale. So what happens is you shape your metal over this. In the front and the back you have more details. That's basically so that you can hammer this out on the wood itself. This is obviously plastic, but this was a prototype that was later going to be made in plywood. We've also got this. This is a E500 style fender. So what I was going to do, and what I am going to do in the future once I get some spacers for my W124, is I'm going to make a mold of this, make a piece out of this, graft it to the fender and see, is this working out, is it okay, and accordingly go ahead with this project. I'm going to make it a wide body kit, but I'll be showing you guys how to make your 3D models into obviously you can't print this in one go, it's made out of multiple pieces, but I'll be showing you guys how to split it up, what softwares I use, how I get from a nice 3D model of a car, how I chop it up and get to just this fender, and then how I 3D print this and put it back together, and then how we actually make a car part that is functional. Because you can obviously, if you know about 3D printing and the materials, I printed this in PLA, and what happens is in the sun, in the heat, anything can just mess this thing up. Even when I'm making molds, sometimes these things deform. I have to really set this to slow, and that's a huge problem with this, but that is why you can't really use ready 3D printed stuff. You can use ABS, which is a pain to print in this scale, and you won't be able to glue it together like this. That's definitely not happening. But the thing is that this has to become a mold. It has to become fiberglass or metal or whatever. So this is just a prototype. This machine is a prototyping machine, right? And that's what we're getting at. This is also something that I designed myself and made. It is multicolored, which is kind of odd, right? You have one extruder, you have one type of material, right? What I do is I make this as a 2D model, then I make it 3D. I make it in different layers, then I 3D print it, and I'll be showing you guys how I do this whole thing. This whole thing is going to be a series about 3D printing, how I make stuff like this, how I make stuff like this. This looks like a car, right? It looks like the outline of a 124. Boom! It says 124. So stuff like this is what I'm thinking of showing you guys, how I make this and how you could make this on a 3D printer. So you should be able to maximize the usage of this machine if you're picking it up. You shouldn't, I wouldn't take up the space and buy a machine like this just to, as something that sits in a corner and collects dust, because you're going to get bored of it. You have to find a use like this. And also, is this the machine for you? Should you be getting a resin printer, which gives you far higher details for miniatures and stuff like that? Or should you be sticking to this? Should you be sticking to PLA, to ABS and stuff like that? Is this for you? That is the question you should be thinking about when you buy one of these machines, and when you're thinking about it. Do you need the higher detail? Will you be restricted to size? What do you want to do with this? Like, that's the main question. So you really have to think about that before you get into, jumping the bandwagon and saying, okay, I just want to get some models off the internet and print them. Because otherwise this machine is sitting in a corner, it's collecting dust and it's doing nothing else. Okay, so I'll be showing you guys something else. This is the lip of a W123 AMG. So this was 3D printed and made into multiple pieces. It's so large that it doesn't fit in the frame. So it's not possible to print this in one go, obviously. I had to print it in multiple pieces and then graft these pieces together. And from here I'll be making a mold and making this into an actual usable car piece. So I'd love to show you guys this process as well, what I do, how I manipulate these 3D printed pieces and make them usable for car usage. So let me know what you guys think, what else you want to see, what else you want me to talk about when it comes to 3D printers. And share, like, comment, subscribe, give me your feedback. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.